Along to WebEx.
I just click record.
Okay.
Keeping y'all.
Is Michael going to be joining?
He's vacation.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure everyone was here.
Okay, let me just drop this into the WebEx, and I'll also give you the architectural background. Okay, so in the file, which I will send out a link to just shortly, there is a schedule that is called Lighting Fixture Schedule with Wattages. If we open that up, so I'll just show you a typical floor first. Let's do first floor. We've got some P1s here, which are these linear sort of, it's the focal point traces that happens, sort of a perimeter wall wash. And then we've got some downlights, the type P3. We've got a vanity, which is now hanging out in the middle of the wall because this is a new background, which is P4. So a mix of kind of linear fixtures and downlights. So then if I go to the lighting fixture schedule, you can see the P1, which is the linear fixture, and the P1A, which is a variant. They're reporting their fixture length. Then there's a calculation field, which works out what the wattage is. For P3s, you can see it's reporting its length as 0, and so as a result, it knows to just take the wattage from, not to multiply the wattage by the length. And this is dynamic, so what you can do, for example, for this P3, if we change this to a 36-watt downlight, I believe I can change it. Oh, sorry, it's over here in this field. In this field, the trace is 6 watts per linear foot, but we want to replace it with a 11 watt per linear foot. Then that updates the wattage for that type. The wattage over here changes, and if we go down to the bottom, the total wattage for the building changes. So it is live. You can change it. So the way that works, yeah?
Is that parameter with the calc wattage linear going to be set in our fixture family?
Exactly.
Like, is that set there now for linear?
It relies on, for this project, I have gone in and added it to our existing fixture which really is a less than ideal way of doing it for a production model because, then the linear fixtures, once I reloaded them, all reset to their default length, and I had to go in and realign everything. And so fortunately for this, it was just such a simple project that it wasn't that big of a deal. But so.
But if we add that parameter to the families before you start, so for
exactly, that's the way you're going to want to do it.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and I will. How do I edit the fields again? Oh wait, yeah. Oops. So then we'll go into field here. Okay, so the there's this wattage linear is I guess what I called it. So if I open, no, I don't want to delete it. I want to edit it. So that has a conditional statement in it. So it's this if statement. So if fixture length equals 0, i.e. if the fixture is not a linear fixture, then take the wattage and when you do calculations with things in Revit that have units, you have to divide out the units or you get this mismatched units sort of error message. So that's why it's wattage. It's pulling in the wattage parameter and it's dividing it by 1 watt to get rid of the wattage unit. So it's a dimensionless quantity. So then you see you've got this comma here, so then everything after the comma is the else, i.e. if it did not report its wattage as 0, then take the wattage field, divide by the 1 watt to get rid of the wattage unit, and multiply it times the fixture length unit, and then divide that by 1 foot to, again, get rid of the 1 foot unit.
Literally cut and paste that and I am it to someone.
Sure.
Just saying.
I don't think it'll let me expand this window. Let me go ahead and, so I will just dump this. I'm going to go into the chat.
Awesome, thanks. That's the malware right there.
Sorry, say that again?
Full, that whole floor.
Oh, sure. Get back to, there's always this
Go to the top of the screen, and it will pop down.
Okay, in my case, it's the bottom of the screen that pops up because I've got the taskbar on the top, but how do I get back to, I feel like there's, so if I do that, then it goes to, the host.
You can select everybody. Send to.
There we go. All right. So that's kind of the formula. We're going to kind of, this presentation, we're going to kind of present it in backwards format. I'm going to give you the overview, and then we're going to kind of go into the nuts and bolts. So let's talk about where it's getting these quantities from. So the wattage here, you can see that's the quantity that gets pulled in to multiply by either field, and then that gets multiplied by the calc wattage linear, by their length parameter. So if we were to go into one of our fixture families, and I'm going to go into floor plans. Okay, so this fixture length, this 21 foot whatever, that is, let's see if I remember how to do this. Then I need to go into family category and parameters. That seems right. No.
I think below it. If you're looking for that.
Yep. Okay, so then this fixture length is, the key thing here is that this is a shared parameter. If it is a family-based parameter, it will not be able to report into a schedule. And so you have to make it into a shared parameter. So I'm going to go in here to modify and kind of show you that. So you can see it's selected as a shared parameter, but that does allow you to set it as an instance. So this reporting parameter checkbox, I don't know what's up with that. Every time I tried to mess with that, it gave me errors. So so I have set up a parameter called fixture length right here, which it is, hyperparameter is the length. So it'll report its units in feet and inches. So that's where it's getting it from, and you can see I've set it equal. The formula is, I've assigned it to this dimension here, because you can take a dimension and you can assign a parameter to it. Why it's taken me so long to put together this write-up is that I kind of forgot how I did this.
You can also, Max, do you see the little green underneath the tabs? Do you see, it says Google. If you go up, down, right there, that's where you can change it.
You're saying like in the edit type here?
Oh, in
no.
the little green.
Oh, okay.
Tabs.
Yes,
Right there.
yes, that's right. Yep, that's the key point on this. So you select, so like if I was going to put in a dimension here, you can select that dimension and you say add parameter, and you go into, you set it to a shared parameter, then you select your shared parameter that you want to use. So that's the case where it's a linear fixture. So then let's look at a fixture which is not linear. So in that case, I have added okay, yeah, you can see I've added the fixture length parameter, which wants to be called something other than fixture length. The deal with shared parameters is that once you set the name, you can't ever change the name. So give that more thought than I did. And you can see that I have just set it equal to 0. So that way, that if statement, that conditional statement, will see 0 and just report it the straight wattage without multiplying it, trying to multiply it by the length. Kind of a little bit of a hack, but it works. So that's how the wattage reporting works. Any questions?
No.
So then the other part of this that I think I put into place since we last talked is real-time figuring of the allowed wattage. And so let's see what I called that. No, it's not that. You know, I think that might not exist yet in this file. I might have done that on building 6 for some reason. Yeah, okay. Let me open up. I thought I did it with this file. I'm going to go ahead and open up building 6. Drawings, lighting. Is it still working on this? It said it was opening it. There we go. Yeah.
I just got word from Boston that their phones went down. So can we sort of pause for a second and wait for them to rejoin if possible?
For sure. That will give me time to get the file open.
Okay, it's like they're in the process of dialing again. Join?
Okay.
Back on? Oh, Barrett's having additional technical difficulties. I also just hung up on a client that just called AJ. No.
So are we back?
Barrett, every time she calls into the number, she gets disconnected.
Oh.
Okay, she's in on her cell phone. So we have a down moment.
No problem. Yeah, one other thing that I should mention, there is kind of along with this method, the way that a shared parameter file or a shared parameter works is that it exists in a text file, lives in the same folder as your Revit files. I'm going to hold this over so that everybody can see it. It's parameter file.txt. Revit automatically creates this, and if you open it up, it wants to open Excel for some reason. So I think this fixture quantity was like my first try at this, and now it doesn't do anything. But the thing about shared parameter files is that like you can't delete them or rename them. They just sort of, I guess because they are in this file, they sort of exist. And even if you like delete and then recreate a parameter with the same name, it won't like work. So I think just more caution if you're going to set this up to name things the way that you really want to name them forever. In this file, I have the space schedule with square footage, with the allowed wattage per square foot. So, you know, you can see it's pulling, I set up with the fields of the level, it's pulling in the name of the space, it's pulling in the space number and the square foot. And then you can manually change this allowed watts per square foot. So for this, we're under LEED 2009. So it's ASHRAE 90.1 2007 are the allowed watts per square foot that we're operating under. Since they don't have to do TEL 24 if they don't want to. So again, though, it's live. You can, for example, for this corridor, if the parameter change and corridors you're only allowed 0.4 watts per square foot, you can just go in there and change it. And for this, it's a very simple formula. You just the allowed, why that's called allowed square foot. I don't know why that's interesting. Anyway, okay, so the formula is you've got area, it's divided by one foot because, again, you have to remove the units or I'll throw an error. And then it's the allowed watts, which I also had to divide by square foot. Maybe that's because of the parameter setup. I'm not sure why I had to do it that way. So let me go ahead and copy and paste this formula into the chat.
Can I ask, for your space schedule, was that set up by the architect? The architect had the spaces set up, or did you set up the spaces?
Yeah, so that's a good segue. So where these spaces are coming from, I first tried to do this with the actual rooms,
Yep.
and that didn't work because they are in the referenced file and not in this file. There apparently isn't. I could think that like the next version of Revit, you'll be able to reference in like the rooms, because I mean it seems like a lot of people are asking why they can't do this. But for now, and this is I think kind of a holdover feature from Revit MEP when it was a separate product. For now, you have to add your own spaces, and
Okay.
so the way that that works is probably some of you know how to do this is you pin your space, and then you can set the number and the name manually. And so you can just set the number and the name equal to the that room exists in the architectural, or in my case, because I mean I was really interested in getting this to work, I just titled them by the space type so that it was easy to kind of plug in the to plug in the uh, watts per square foot. So the thing about this is obviously it's only as good as your architectural model. So for example, in this case, you can see as I kind of highlight over it, it's picking up all of this other restroom, and this, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why this building would have such space restrooms compared to every other building in the, like this. FYI, this is again a new background, the first time I'm seeing it, and that's why we've got kind of fixtures stuck in the middle of walls. So I'm guessing that this is before this wall went all the way through, and in this model it doesn't. And so now it's telling me that I've got all of this extra space, which I don't actually have, or I think maybe this is what's going on with that. Showers, they're showers. That's what's going on with that. Maybe that actually is in our scope. Yeah, so that's kind of the place where this falls down is if they don't have the spaces set up correctly, the room bounding set up correctly, this will fail. The other key point that has to be in place is the link. You have to select this room bounding checkbox, or it doesn't work.
Max, if I remember correctly, you can choose whether it measures interior wall or middle of wall.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and add one. See. So then we're going to go into area? No. That's how you would set your, it's under analyze. Yeah, it's under analyze, and then you go into spag maybe. As you can see, I've done this like once. So we're learning together. Okay, so you go and analyze, you select space, and it will kind of. So what it's doing, what it must be doing is I don't think that it's referencing the rooms as set up in the architectural model. I think it's figuring it out independently by like casting rays out and finding where the walls are. So I kind of think in the next version of Revit, this is going to be like this will go away, and you'll be able to just directly pull in the room information and work with that directly. I've added that. That's space 31. We'll go into this schedule, and there's my quarter that was deleted, which I don't know if I can this. Yes, let's do that. So I'll do that, and there's my new one, quarter 31. It's reporting as 857 square feet, and I'm going to have a watts per square foot, and where to go? Yeah, watt per square foot, and my allowed wattage is 429 watts. So that's that. Any questions?
No? Cool.
Yeah.
Have you my question is, have you combined these two together? So if you allowed watts and you know what your watts are.
Well, I mean, you can see this is pretty much still like
with the fixtures, I guess.
There is a way to do that because spaces exist within this file. You can have the fixtures report what space they're in. So here's my
name. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I did get to do this. So it is reporting. And then it kind of gives you a handy thing. You can see, like, I've got a couple pictures here that aren't reporting the turn space, so they're probably floating within a wall somewhere.
That's handy.
Yeah.
Is there set up these schedules to kind of have them like in our template rather than having to set it up every single time?
Yeah, that would be the ideal way to do it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we take his schedule right now and bring it in if we want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this one is this one can be applied much more easily to existing projects because it doesn't rely on a parameter within the fixture or anything. It's all within the file.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, I've got about another 20 minutes on this upload because the Revit files, they're, huge. But as soon as I've got it, I will send out the link.
Fantastic. Thanks for doing this. I think it'll be very, very helpful and fruitful going forward.
Yeah. Good.
So, and I will say you will be missed. So I just want to say that
thanks.
as well.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? While I've got you, let me ask a Revit question.
Sure.
I'm going to be open. So this is what I noticed about building one. There's a mismatch between where fixtures are placed in 2D and they're placed in 3D. So let's say we'll go into, we don't have any lighting on the third floor, so I'm going to go into the second floor here. And so it's kind of the same design, right? We've got the P1 linear fixtures that sort of wrap the center area, and then after that it's sort of downlights in the wings, downlights in the restrooms. Now I'm going to go into my 3D view. And it is thinking. Oh, on my new laptop, I've got a solid-state drive, and Revit runs so much better.
Mike, did you hear that?
Use of the tip.
Loud and clear.
I'm going to go ahead and unload this because it makes it easier to see what I'm talking about. So fixtures then here in 3D are looks like they're linearly maybe 2-3 feet off. The 3D symbol is 3 feet away from the 2D symbol. And you know why that's going on?
Oh, yeah. In which direction? Is it because they're overlapping?
Can you orbit?
Oh, I do see what you're saying. I'm curious if you go to edit. Sure, it's because those two fixtures shouldn't be biting.
Oh.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm wondering if you go to edit family. I'm wondering if the
dimensions are not placed equal.
Yeah, from 3D.
that's good. So there's redundant equal, so I'm going to go ahead and delete one.
But also, what is that associated to? Is it a 2D or is it the extrusion?
This looks like it. Okay, so basically the way that
we're has a couple of things on it, and do you see how some of them are lines and there's also an extrusion? I'm wondering if they're not tied together properly.
That's what. Yeah. So this that I'm looking at is a 2D representation then. Detail item.
Yep.
And that's probably. Say that again.
Go to one of like the perspective views. You can click on just the housing itself and see like. Yeah, just click on that and then hide that and see if you're seeing any 2D after that.
And it doesn't have any. You're seeing it doesn't have any of the parameters associated with it.
Got it. Oh, that's so mystery solved.
So I think we need to tie those entities together so they can string together.
You know, it might have been something that I broke while I was messing with these. So
not necessarily. We've definitely found wonkier things to fix.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that explains that. Okay. Well, that's what I got.
All right.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much. This is good.
Pretty good stuff.
Okay. Well,
thanks.
take care, guys.
Thanks, Max.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Bye.